the dong song get you guys in trouble?
Yeah, that's what happened. What's up, everybody? Are we live right now, AJ? Can you just make sure we have excellent connection? Yeah, I think we're good. What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday to you all. Hope you all had a great Monday night. Was a good one for me. I hit the under in the NFL game. I also I put down the same game parlay on the game for fun before. It almost hit. It was plus 3,200 or something. And what I needed was the Cowboys to win and the game to stay under 44.5. If they don't, that block punt, if he doesn't touch that, the Cowboys get the ball at midfield. If they kick a field goal and win, I would have hit that too. So that was live for a while. So it was a fun game. I guess Chris will be with us in a second. It's only a couple NBA games, so it's not the biggest deal if Chris isn't going to make it today. You know what? I might even have a text from him saying he can't make it. I don't know. But so first up, Orlando, Milwaukee. Moda, did you take a look at this one?
Yeah, I did. So the play I had admittedly got like some of the worst CLV I've ever had. It's Cole Anthony, 15 plus points. It was 13.5 this morning. I just, as I always do, took one prop or one number higher to get plus money. I got it at plus 105. That same price is right now plus 195. Best offered at Flip, plus 180 at FanDuel. So if I was betting this right now, I would actually take the over 12.5, which you can get at plus 114 at FanDuel. I don't 100% know what changed to make the market just completely nuke towards the under. Unless people thought like he was going to be in the starting lineup, which he isn't, but that was never part of my thought process. Either way, I think like the analysis is still sound. And obviously if you can get a better price on over 12.5 as opposed to 15 plus, I would definitely recommend that. It's all about increased minutes, increased usage rate with Franz out. It's obviously a 1 game sample size, but like he's averaging 10 minutes per game overall. He played about 30 minutes last game, in the first game without Franz. He took 15 field goal attempts, scored 14 points, so would have hit the over 12.5. If you're telling me he's going to play 30 minutes and put up 14 shots, I'll gladly take that, especially because like his scoring profile, the theoretical version of him, which isn't not necessarily that great of a basketball player, is how you want to target this Bucks defense. The Bucks are allowing the most points per game to point guards per props.cash, literally 30 out of 30 points per game to point guards. It's all because of the pick and roll. They allow the second most points per possession to pick and roll ball handlers. And Cole Anthony, the majority of his points come as the pick and roll ball handler. He's got the highest frequency of that play type being run for him of all players in the Magic. That's the word I'm looking for. So if you just filter it by like frequency, he's got the highest one. So basically meaning like whenever he's on the court, they just run pick and rolls with him. Different situations, I get it, but last year, 3 games against the Bucks, he would have cashed the over 12.5 in all 3. 1 game he scored exactly 13. So the 15 plus in 2 of 3, 13, over 12.5 in all 3. So yeah, it's just like the way you want to target the Bucks defense is with a guy like Cole Anthony. And I just think like he's going to get shots up with no scoring left on this team.
So I'm looking at this one right now for the first time, and you said there was line movement towards the under. That makes sense to me. I'm gonna check and look at the movement right now. It looks like, oh no, I don't see much here. 215.5. I would probably lean towards the under, but I'm just looking at it right now. The Bucks not running the fast break at all. If you look at their half-court frequency in the last 6 games, it's 89%, 86%, 86%, 86%. Not running many fast breaks, even though some of the games have been fast-paced. 3 of their last 6 have been faster-paced games. Even in the games they're running faster-paced, they're stopping and setting up the offense, which tends to point towards an under. And obviously we're not only talking about Orlando, who runs a slower pace and has an offense we consider to be shittier, but we're talking about Orlando on the road, where they're less reliable. They're also, as I'm sure you guys know, missing pieces. Banchero's been out for a while. Franz Wagner is out. Gary Harris is out. So I would say either an under or maybe a Magic team total under. Problem with it is the pushback on the under would be the Bucks offense, with the exception of 2 games there against the Hawks and the Celtics on the 4th and the 6th. You take those 2 games out, and we're talking about a Bucks offense that's been cruising recently. So if the Bucks are just going to be red hot, scoring a bunch of points, scoring at a high percentage of their possessions, I don't know if I want to get caught on an under there. So I guess I would go Bucks under or Magic team total under. Let's pick one, actually. There's not a lot of action on. I'm not passing. Let's find something. 1 second.
Let's choose one, Kyle.
All right, good. So the Magic been forcing turnovers, but the Bucks have been doing a good job protecting the ball. Bucks run a lot of isolation. Magic struggle defensively against isolation. That would point towards Giannis or Lillard. Bucks doing a decent job defending the rim. That's what the Magic do. And nothing there. How about... Damn, the Magic have actually been playing some decent defense on the perimeter, though, and the Bucks have been shooting three. You know what? Just give me the under. I'll bet that. Just give me the under, 215.5. I'll take that. To be honest, probably I've been in spreadsheet mode for like 24 hours. Wait till you guys see it. You guys will see it tomorrow, maybe even tonight. There's some it's sick. I'm really pumped about it. So I've been in spreadsheet mode, not capping games. I was talking about this yesterday. I don't get many weeks where I have like free time to work on, like, improve my process. And this is one of those weeks. It's a little lighter. So I've been in spreadsheet mode. So I'll go under 215.5. I'm down to bet this. Let's do it. Next game. Dallas, Oklahoma City. Matthew, what do you think?
Kyle, yeah, I have two plays in this one. They're both assist props. They're both plays that I'm actually laddering as well. The first one is Kyrie Irving over 4.5 assists, and then I took him 6+ and 7+ as well. For anybody that followed the NBA playoffs last year, Kyrie Irving assists against the Thunder is absolutely a play. It's a national holiday for those of you who celebrate. His scoring was down a ton in that series, but his playmaking was up a lot. It's kind of like a weird history between these two teams because Luka's somehow missed a lot of games against the Thunder specifically. Like last year, they played, I think, 3 regular season games. Luka only played in 4. Luka only played in one of them. This year, these teams have played once. Luka did not play in that game. So the data you're looking at is either including the playoffs or it's not including Luka. But one regular season game last year in which Luka did play, Kyrie Irving, he had 8 assists on 13 potential assists. So that's one game sample size. If you look at all 7 games last year that these two played against the the Thunder, which again, 6 of those was in the playoffs, he averaged 6.5 assists per game in those 7 games. And so he went over in 4 of 7. All 4 that he went over, did he reach the full ladder of 7 assists, 8, 11, 7, and 9. Again, one of those was a regular season game. It's all because of how the Thunder play defense. Like, they allow the second fewest points per game, both via isolation and to the pick and roll ball handler. That's category number 1 and 2 in terms of where Kyrie Irving's points come from. So they sell out to not let him beat them from a scoring perspective. So instead, he's happy to do it from a playmaking perspective. So the main line play of him getting over 4.5 is -120, best offered at Fanatics. And then if you want to take the 6+, that's +160 FanDuel, and then the 7+ is +320. Bet 365.
Yeah, looking at this one, this is going to be a fun one. I'm just glancing through the spreadsheet here, and I mean, every time you find something, you look, and the other team is elite at defending that. Dallas is running super fast pace last 3 or 4 games, 107, 105, 105. So they're running a fast pace. They're scoring. They're hitting their shots. They're hitting their outside shots. 7 games in a row where they've had a favorable 3-point percentage. So they're shooting a lot of threes. They're hitting a lot of threes. Well, actually shooting an average amount of threes, but they're hitting them. And running a fast pace, so that points towards points. But then on the other side, you got the Oklahoma City Thunder, who might be the best defense in the NBA. Also, Matt alluded to the pick and roll ball handler. Oklahoma City, one of the best defenses against those types of offenses, which makes it tough. This is like Western Conference Finals preview here. This is a good one on paper. A lot of green on the sheet. What did you got? You got 2 assist ladders. Oklahoma City.
Yeah. So the other one, I detailed Kyrie. The only one I hadn't mentioned or that I hadn't gone in detail yet is SGA. He's also done a really good job playmaking against the Mavericks. One game this year, he had 8 assists. More importantly, 20 potential assists. That's crazy. Like, the full ladder climb is 8+. He had 20 potential assists last game. I'll gladly take that conversion ratio. And he's probably not going to have 20, but even if he gets like 5 less than that, 15, I'd still be very confident that he gets to 8 actual assists with that number. If you look at the regular season last year, he went over the 5.5 number in 2 of the 4 games, but both games he went under. He had exactly 5, and the games he went over by a ton. He had at least 8 assists in both those games he went over. If you just look at all 11 games these two teams have played in the last 2 seasons, he's had 13 potential assists in 8 of those 10 games last year, and then 1 of 1 this year. So 9 of 11, including this year. The way the Mavericks play defense, it's like not position based. It's like best option based. Their best scorer. They try not to let themselves get beat by the score. So they'll let them play make. Scotty Barnes had 14 assists against them last game. The game before that, Jordan Poole had 8. If you go down their game log, a lot of best options go over their assist prop against the Mavericks. And if you remember the NBA Finals last year, Jaylen Brown had career high numbers in playmaking and assisting. It's because of the way they play defense. So the 5.5 number admittedly got nuked overnight. It's like minus 150 now. So if I'm playing this, I would just do the 6 or the 7+ and the 8+ and just skip the over 5.5.
Yeah, another thing to consider here is in the last 10 games, the Mavericks are 29th in strength of schedule. Oklahoma City's 24th. So maybe that's part of the reason we're seeing such elite efficiency numbers in the last 10 games. If both have played a relatively easy schedule. I guess I would lean towards Dallas plus the points. I still don't 100% trust Oklahoma City as one of the most elite teams in the NBA without Holmgren and Jalen Williams, 2 important pieces. So I guess I would lean towards Dallas. What is the poll at? Oh, poll's on Dallas. All right, so the viewers I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to bet this one. I'll take that Bucks under, though. That's all. That's it. That's all I got. All right, they're going to do some college basketball. 2 more days till we're back in action. We're kind of at a bye week here. I'm actually dropping an NFL video tonight, too. So
very nice.
What's next? You switching us over to college basketball, AJ? There we go.
Cool. All right, see you guys.
Talk to you soon, man.
Yep, see ya.
What's up, everybody? Good afternoon, all. I'm just going to wait for Andy to show up onto the screen. There he is. Go Celtics, right? Are they doing good this year? They're always good. Anywho, Jimmy V Classic. Let's get this started. Miami, Tennessee. I'm a little bit sad because I think I lost some CLV with this over that I played last night. I think it went down a number. I don't know what it's at right now. I didn't look. But did you actually end up playing Miami or did you pass?
I have Miami. I have Miami first half, and I regret not taking Miami full game last night because it was at 16.5. I got Miami first half at 8.5. I think a lot of this is Tennessee. This could be a bit of a look-ahead spot for them. They have a bigger game on deck. I think they could come out a little bit slower, kind of like they did against Syracuse. If you remember in that game, they came out and they were just a little bit slow, and it was close for like the first 10 minutes, first 15 minutes. Syracuse is awful, and they didn't have their best scorer. Miami's a much better team than them, so in that case, if they come out slow and they're playing a close game, it probably lasts the entire half. I think a big thing is Tennessee hasn't faced a team that's main goal and the thing they're best at is getting inside. That's something Miami usually isn't doing. I mean, they used to not, and they're not really hitting shots. They're coming off a game in which they barely hit any shots, any threes against Clemson. They haven't faced a team that's like really, really good inside and only really good inside. So this could be a spot for them where they haven't really faced this type of team. And also, I'm a little bit off on their schedule. They've played Virginia, Louisville, Baylor, and Syracuse. All of those teams are kind of having down years from what we'd expect them to have. Specifically Baylor, who's the obvious best game there. We don't really know how good Baylor is. And that was also Baylor coming off the St. John's game in which went double overtime and they won on a buzzer beater. So it was an emotional game before that too. So yeah, I think a lot of signs point to this just being the closest game. I mean, in all seriousness, the closest game that they have played this year, this is Tennessee, the closest game they played was 15 against Baylor. I mean, they were blowing out their opponents. This looks like a really good neutral site spot for them to at least play a game within 15, 16 points. And I think it happens from Miami early. So I have Miami first half.
Yeah, and I think regardless of whatever you think about Baylor, I think we can all agree it's not the same Baylor that we've known over the last few years. So regardless, that win isn't as impressive as it was 2 or 3 years ago or the last 2 or 3 years. But I played the over just because, like Andy touched on, this Tennessee offense has been scoring a whole bunch of points, regardless of who they're playing. Not to mention the fact that Miami's a team that offensively I trust as well. Defensively, I don't trust Miami as far as I can throw anybody. But at the same time, you're getting guys like Miami that's trusting guys like Nigel Pack and Jalen Blackman and Matthew Cleveland, who again is nothing. I'm not trying to make a case that he's something special or he'd still be playing at a place like Florida State or something. But again, he's a guy that I trust inside. So I trust Miami's offense to score points. I know that they haven't been, obviously defensively, they haven't been very impressive. But at the same time, they're also coming off of a Clemson game where they shot the they've shot all season, 4 for 25 from deep, but they also went 19 from 31 inside. So I just think that if they can clean that up, the outside shooting up just a little bit, if they shoot 25 threes and they make 9 of them or give or take, I think this game goes over. So neither one of these teams are playing at like a super slow pace either. So nothing super crazy slow, but nothing super crazy fast either. So, and not to mention it's in Madison Square Garden. Both these teams are going to be excited to play here. So I don't think that the defense is going to always be there at times. So we'll see what happens. This number went down. It's like 143 now, but I don't really care.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those games where everybody assumes it's going to go under.
Because it's neutral.
Yeah, it's because it's a neutral and it's Tennessee. And yeah.
Will there be 2 lines on the court? That's the question.
Jesus.
Taking it back.
You believe in that, don't you?
I do really believe in that. But I think for college, they fix, because that is a college arena too, St. John's plays there. So.
Yeah. One of my favorite games of the night, Rutgers and Penn State. Obviously, Andy can't bet this game because he's in New Jersey. But I really like Rutgers here. I think that first of all, I think the spot is really, really big. I think that you have a Penn State team that's riding as high as they can probably be. They had that one loss against Clemson on a neutral, but they're coming off a huge win against Purdue at home where they, really wiped the floor with them. But besides that, I haven't really seen much from this Penn State team. And then you have a Rutgers team that's lost 4 of their last 5 games. The one game that they did win was a 1-point win against Notre Dame on a neutral that came in overtime. It just really, really wasn't impressive. But now I think that you're getting Penn State at like the max you're going to get them as far as how good they look right now, and you're going to be paying a price for it. And I think that the line makers, I played Rutgers money line at -115. It's at like -150. It's like 3.5 right now. So it's a little bit of a different situation. I don't know if I love Rutgers at 3.5, but I do think that spot wise for Penn State going on the road in their first Big Ten game is going to be a spot that I think that Rutgers can exploit. I understand that Rutgers hasn't looked good lately, but Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, I think there's going to be the Ace Bailey show tonight. I think that Penn State's going to focus on Dylan Harper, and that's going to be, I think schematically, that's probably Penn State has an edge there, but at the same time, you're going to get a Rutgers crowd that's going to be into this game. I just don't think that the Penn State defense is going to translate like we saw against Purdue. I don't think that's going to translate into the rack tonight, so personally. So I will give you that Penn State's been the better team, and I don't think that 3.5 is the right number here. I think it should be like 1.5 for Rutgers. But the fact that Rutgers opened this game as a favorite, and now that it's bet up to 3.5, tells me everything I need to know. So I think Rutgers wins here. I don't love it at 3.5 as much as I like it at 1.5. But there's no way I get to Penn State here.
Yeah, I won't spend too much time to get better, but yeah, I like the spot here for Rutgers. Both teams' schedules lighten up a ton. You're getting Penn State off that Purdue game. You're getting Rutgers off getting blown out on the road. So I think it's a really good spot for them to grow in this situation. Plus, I said it last night jokingly, Penn State would be really shocking to me if they were a team that's just kind of world beaters and that they can run through Big Ten teams like this, a lot like South Carolina did last year in the SEC that we didn't expect. I think that's what I compared them to last night. I'd have a hard time believing that that's who they're going to be. I think this Penn State team's good. I don't think they're that good. I think there's a lot more talent on the Rutgers side, and they're still trying to figure it out. The one thing for Rutgers, they've been really disappointing defensively. They're usually a defensive program, and they've kind of sold out and just went with their star players. Maybe if they can get back to that identity, they'll be able to fix this season. Because right now, if they lose tonight, they're staring down the barrel of a lost season. So I think you're getting a desperate Rutgers team too. So yeah, I would be on Rutgers if I could bet it, but I can't. So.
I was gonna say, I think that if Rutgers loses tonight, and especially if they get ran off the floor like you were talking about, they're probably going to be a down year this for them, because I don't think defensively they're going to be able to fix it. But they've been playing a little bit of zone now. I think that might help things. But DePaul in Providence, this game, I think the number is still 1.5. I don't think it's really done much. It might have popped into some 2s, but
I think it went to 2. I think the graphic says 2.
Okay. Yeah, so it doesn't surprise me a little bit. They are a dog, but you can go first. I know that we're both on the same play here, so.
Yeah, I hate fading DePaul because I really like this DePaul team. They're really fun. They haven't played nobody. They played Texas Tech for the first. That was the first team with yeah. Last night, I think I said that it was the first team they played with a pulse. It was, and they were playing piles of garbage. They had a close game with Southern Indiana, then they went off and had like 7 or 8 easy wins against bad opponents. Well, they played Texas Tech and they got run off the floor. I'm not saying Providence is Texas Tech. They're not. Providence has had a rough start to the year, but they're more talented. They have Bryce Hopkins, the best player on the floor. They have a really good defensive team. The problem is they're not hitting shots. I'm not saying that they're going to go on the road and they're going to hit a ton of shots, but I also don't think DePaul's going to be able to hit shots at the level they're hitting them at. I mean, DePaul's 17th in the country in 3-point percentage, 12th in 2-point percentage. That's not sustainable, especially against a Big East opponent. So, I think this is a clear spot where they're maybe not going to get run off the floor, but I think Providence is going to win the game. But I have plus 1.5. So I like Providence a lot.
Yeah, DePaul has risen like 150 spots from their preseason ranking in KenPom or Haslam, one of the two. I don't remember what it was, but regardless, they've looked really well to start the year. But Andy touched on, they've played absolutely nobody. And the other thing about the 3-point shots that they've been making, yes, they've been making a ton of them, but at the same time, if you look at shot quality and stuff, it tells you that they're averaging almost 0.35 points per possession on their 3-point shots. So that's a very big spot where you can say that sooner or later that's going to fall off a cliff. I'm not saying that it's necessarily going to be tonight, but at the same time, both of these teams are very similar where they like to drive and kick, and then they like to play denial defense. And the only difference is that Providence has the best player on the floor defensively, maybe not offensively, but at least defensively in Bryce Hopkins. And I think that's probably going to be the difference. I think that Providence is better than what they've shown. And I think that the more games that they play with Bryce Hopkins, the better they're going to be. And then a small note that had nothing to do with when I bet it, but it made me feel better when I read it this morning when in Jordan Majeski's little blog. DePaul's been struggling to have a full practice all week due to their team having an illness. So regardless, the line still moved up to Providence +2. I played it +1.5 as well, but I do think Providence wins this game, and I think Bryce Hopkins is probably the difference. So we'll see what happens. But next game,
yeah,
oh yeah, Michigan, Arkansas.
We're on the same side here.
Yeah, we definitely are on the same side here. For me, it's kind of simple. We're gonna get Calipari as a dog in Madison Square Garden. With having a lot of time to prepare for this Michigan team that I will give you is good with Golden and Wolf, these two big guys that can play pick and roll all night. But I think that Calipari is going to be able to scheme against that. Not to mention the fact that the Michigan turnovers have been an absolute issue. And defensively, I mean, we just saw their game against Iowa. I don't think that Michigan defensively is all the way there either. I will give you that, what's his case, the kid that came over from FAU with him. What's the kid? I'm just blanking on his name now. The big kid, Golden. I will give you that Golden didn't play well.
Oh, Golden.
Yeah, he's been playing better. But regardless, I just think that this is a really good spot for Arkansas. I think they're going to be able to get out, transition, and score. And again, Arkansas is not a team that I trust to sit down and run a good offense and to get points. But at the same time, Michigan is not a team that I trust to stop teams in the half court, at least at this point in the season. And again, I just think that the coaching edge here with Calipari getting points in Madison Square Garden was just too big for me to pass up. So I played Arkansas +4.5. I think they're 3.5 now. I would still play them at 3.5. I honestly think they win the game. I sprinkled the money line as well. Andy?
Yeah, it's a sell high spot on Michigan here as well. Kind of similar to like Penn State. I mean, Michigan's beating all of these solid teams. We said it last night. The Virginia Tech's really bad, but Xavier, they're not a great team, but they're whatever. They're a big program. Wisconsin and Iowa were really good wins. One of them was on the road as well. Now you're going to a neutral site and you're facing a guy who historically, as an underdog, usually like wins the game outright. I mean, we talked about that all last year with Kentucky. Like that team, I think a couple of different times they were underdogs on the road at SEC buildings, and we took them outright because they hit every time. Auburn and Tennessee most specifically last year. And I know you're thinking, well, that was Kentucky. Well, he basically did exactly what he was doing at Kentucky. He just did it at Arkansas. He's got the same type of talent, really good players, really good style of play, and now he's on the road. He's on a neutral site at MSG against a team that's pretty much everything's going right for him. Dusty May's a great coach. All things are looking good for Michigan. I think it's a really good spot for it to come crashing down and for Arkansas to really have a good game. So I like Arkansas a lot here.
Yeah, I 100% agree on the buy low, sell high type of thing with Arkansas and Michigan, 100%. Next game up, Prop Beaver. I don't
This
even
one
wanna talk. I was gonna say I don't even want to talk about this game. Everybody I guess I'm the only person in the world that thinks Wisconsin has a chance, and I'm kind of exaggerating right now. But why isn't the line moved, guys? Why isn't the line moved? If Illinois is so freaking good, and I know Andy, it's not like Andy was going crazy on Illinois. We just disagreed. But if Illinois is so good, Andy, why isn't the line moved? That's all I'm saying. I didn't bet Wisconsin. I lean
Great
Wisconsin.
It opened at 7.5 and it went down to 6.
Oh, I thought it opened at 6.5 and it's just been
So, yeah.
sitting there. Either way,
Yeah, I like
Sitting there for a day.
Illinois here. I said it, Big Ten home teams, but also like, I mean, this Wisconsin team, they've had a couple now in a row. I mean, they're coming off the loss to Marquette where they got blown out, but that was a rivalry game. I mean, it was surprising to me that it was a blowout, but it not a Big Ten game. And then they lost to Michigan. You would think it'd be a good spot to buy them, but I don't think it is because Illinois is coming off losing to Northwestern. That's not a game that they should have lost. Not saying that it's a bad loss or anything, but it's a team that's inferior to them, and they lost to them on the road. So now I think playing at home, comfortable. The Big Ten home team thing is really in my head because we're seeing them all clear house and against the spread. I mean, we saw Penn State, Ohio State. Those are two, and Northwestern. That's 3 examples right there where it was like we didn't think they were going to cover it. And they covered pretty comfortably in a lot of those situations. So, I like Illinois. I don't know why the line's not moving. I was surprised that it didn't. I thought it would go up a little bit because everybody in the comments last night seemed pretty clear on it too that this is a really good spot for Illinois. So I like Illinois.
I just don't know if I'm there. Again, I lean Wisconsin. I did not bet it, so I can't really go crazy on this game. But I do think that Wisconsin has been tested much more. I think that's very clear. I mean, Illinois got kind of beat down by an Alabama team, and then they went and lost a game to Northwestern that they shouldn't have lost. And besides that, their best win was, I guess, an Arkansas game on a neutral. But I know we just talked highly of Arkansas, but that's nothing really to ride home about, especially when you're talking about laying 6.5 with the team. Now, again, Wisconsin's lost back-to-back games, but they've also played a pretty decent schedule. I mean, they played Arizona, UCF, Pittsburgh looks really good right now. Michigan can throw different things at you with those big guys, with Golden and Wolf. Again, Illinois has like 4 guys that are really good. I'm not even going to try to start to pronounce their names, but at the same time, I don't think they have the guard play that's necessarily that Marquette had that blew Wisconsin off the floor. And again, now that Wisconsin's played a couple neutral games, they've played a road game before. Again, Big Ten home teams that's a real thing. I'm definitely can't argue against Andy with that, but all I can say is that if Illinois isn't blowing them out and this game is somewhat close, you have a Wisconsin team that is the best free throw shooting team in the country against one of the worst, well, not the worst, but a really bad free throw shooting team in Illinois. And I also think that Illinois beats up on a lot of teams because they're really good on offensively, because they're really big, especially, but at the same time, I think that Wisconsin's size can match up with them as well. So I lean Wisconsin. I didn't bet it. I really want to, but a lot of smart people that I respect, including Andy, tell me not to. So I'm going to listen and I'm going to watch. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Badger up. I hope they win outright. And that's the show. That's unfortunate.
All right, that is all. Yeah.
It is finals. It's final
no community parlay today.
Too.
Yeah, due to the insane lack of volume on today's slate. But we'll be back tomorrow. And yeah, remember to stay goated. Love you all.
Never forget
and
that,
we'll
guys.
See you on tonight's Midnight Street if you're there. See you then.